All right, guys. Kind of started this a little late, and then thought about it. I'm gonna go ahead and record a full service oil change on a 2025 Can-Am Outlander Xmr 850. So we're gonna do the engine oil, transmission / gearbox, front and rear diff. Went to my local auto parts store, got all the fluids, got the filter. So if you're wondering, if you're not going to go with stock, which I mean you totally can, but this is a K&N. It's the 152. It is the aftermarket replacement for the OEM. I just got the K&N full synthetic 10W40. It actually called for 5W40. They didn't have enough of it in stock. But anyway, I got the 10W40 full synthetic. As you can see there, motorcycle, ATV. Most of the stuff is all the same. Okay. And then got the Mobil 1 synthetic gear lubricant. This is what goes into, the transmission. In the owner's manual, it calls for 75W140. Big thing on this one is just make sure it has that API GL5 requirement. That's the big thing from Can-Am. And then for the front and rear diff, it calls for 75W90. So 7590 for the front and rear diff. Same thing, you look on the back, make sure it has that API GL5 requirement. That's pretty much it. And I picked up this little pump. It just helps out with getting the diff fluid in, kind of a tight squeeze. I'll show you here later in the video what I'm talking about there. But this thing just helps out. I had another one made by the same company, Performance Tool. It was just like a little pump thing. You screwed onto the cap there and then pumped it out. I used that thing one time and it snapped when I was pumping it. So it was like $2 more for that one than it was the little smaller pump, which just comes with literally a little pump, the screw top, and about a 12-inch hose. So where we're at in the process right now, literally, I took the bike out, rode it for a little bit. It's still dirty from the last ride. I really didn't clean it too well. Sprayed it off before I left the park, but it needs to be washed. But we're taking it back out tomorrow for the 4th of July weekend. So that's why I'm doing this service now. I've serviced it once before, and this will be my second service. I think it recommends like every 200 hours. Of course, depending on how you treat them. I don't treat it too terribly bad, but I do ride in a lot of dusty conditions, and it is a Xmr, made for mud, built for mud, and I do get it muddy and take it off-roading. That's what it's made for. So I took the seat off. If you need an explanation and on a how-to on how to take the seat off, you probably should take it to your dealer anyway and let them do the service if you're not comfortable enough doing all that. Okay, but easy. You take the seat off. I took this one side panel off here, which again, quick connect, very simple, very easy. Same way on the other side. You don't need to take the other side off. But this is where we currently are. Now to get to the oil filter, which is tucked in right here behind this fender, all right, this front fender on the right side, you have to remove this fender. And to do that, it's pretty simple. There's one little quick connect pin here, which you can see I've already pulled it and got it loose. You remove it. So this is what you're looking at right here, just one of those little quick snap, quick connect push pin things. And then down here on the bottom, there's actually a T27. Probably hard to see, but you can see the hole right here. There's a T27, and it's actually a bolt. And I've already removed it. It's right here. So you got a T27. You remove those two, and then this bottom right fender just slides out. You got a little slide clip here, another slide clip on the bottom. It literally slides out, and you disconnect it. As I was. There's another clip down here. As you can see, I was trying to pull it out. It wouldn't come because there is, in fact, another pull pin down here at the bottom. But again, easy. Pull it out. I say easy. Of course, this one's wanting to be a pain in the butt. And there we go. So it comes out. Now that whole piece is out, and we have access to the oil filter. All right, stay tuned. All right, here we go. Just left off where we got the inner fender off. Again, T27 is going to get your oil filter cap off. All right, that's what it looks like right here. So we have your 3 T27s. All right, holding your cover for the oil filter. It does have a plastic O-ring on it. You can see that black plastic O-ring right there on the inside seal. I think when you buy the kit, it comes with a new one of those. I've changed oil enough in motorcycles and cars, unless it's damaged, you know, frayed or has a cut in it or dry rot or something like that. Them things you pretty much, for the most part, last the life of the bike. But again, I guess it really depends on how you're using it, how often you change it. But if you want to, by all means, you can change that O-ring out. Me personally, I don't. Again, unless I see that there's something wrong. Now this is the old filter I took off. Again, I've changed it before already. So this is a K&N 152. Again, same as the one I bought here. So I've got it down there just draining right now. So while I've got the cover off, and as you can see, I put a little piece of shop rag, shop towel, paper towel in there. That's just to catch any residual. I've yet to drain the go underneath it. That'll be the next step. But while I'm here up top, I'll go ahead and replace the oil filter, put the oil filter back in, put the cover back on, which again, I can go ahead and do that right now. Some people, you know, they'll put oil in the filter. You can, you don't have to. But I just slide it back in there, push it in, make sure it's good and sealed against the back, which again, it ain't gonna get really tight until you put that cover back on anyway. So I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna go ahead and get the cover back on here, and we'll be done with this part up top, with the exception of the transmission, which there's the fill hole for it right here. We'll show you that here in a minute. All right, but we are still on the main engine crankcase, changing the oil there first. All right, so stay with me, stay tuned. All right, so new filters in, cover back on, tighten back up, and we're ready to go underneath and drain, remove the drain plug. All right, so oil drain plug, located underneath. I'll get down there in a minute, show you guys, but if you look pretty much right here below the crankcase, you'll see, I guess that's where, I don't know, water pump, oil pump, something connects into here. And then right underneath the four-wheeler, give me a second, I'll get down here, try to climb down here without killing myself. I'm not as young as I used to be, but you come underneath here and you see that oval shape, and that's right there where the oil's dripping. All right, that's where that drain plug goes. So as you're looking underneath the four-wheeler, one might think it's this circle here because there is a plug there or a bolt, but it's here. So right underneath that little oval shape, and it is a 11/16. If I'm not mistaken, I'll double check that here in a minute. But as you can see, I've got it out right now. I'm letting it drain, letting it drip, getting that stuff out. It looked pretty good. Again, it hadn't been that long ago since I changed the oil. But with the type of riding I do and where I ride, you know, it being dusty and sandy and muddy, I change it more than the recommended amount. It does have a crush washer on it. Make sure that crush washer comes off. Sometimes I've had them where the crush washer, it might get oil or something under it and, you know, kind of get stuck to the actual engine itself. So when you get the bolt off, you're freaking out because you don't see a crush washer. And more times than not, unless you took it to a dealer and they didn't put the crush washer back on it, the crush washer could be stuck underneath where the drain plug come out. So just make sure you check for that. Again, they do recommend you change these crush washers. Same thing with the O-rings. I don't do it every single time unless I see visible damage, wear, something like that to it. All right, so we're gonna give it a couple minutes, let it drain, and then we'll go back underneath and we'll start working on the transmission, gearbox, whatever you want to call it. And I did confirm it is an 11/16 to remove the engine drain plug. 11/16. All right, so the drain plug, engine drain plug is back in. I'm gonna go ahead and put the engine oil back in. Everything's buttoned up. Start it out again. Of course, taking the covers off, getting access to the side of the engine here. Removed the oil filter cover. Got underneath, removed the drain plug for the engine oil, let all that drain out, put the drain plug back in with the crush washer, put the cover and the new filter back in, got everything tightened up, and now it calls for a little less than 3 quarts. You should be able to go to your owner's manual. We can see exactly how much, but I think it's like 2.8, something like that. For the oil. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get the oil in, and then we'll start working on the gearbox. All right, so checking the manual again, it calls for 2.96 quarts. So I've got right about that in there right now. I had 3 quarts total. I put just about all of the 3rd quart, except for just a little bit, about 3-4 ounces. And I'm gonna check to see where we're at. Because right now we hadn't drained, hadn't sunk down in there yet. Give it a few more seconds, let it do its business. And we also have to take into account the fact that there's no oil right now in the oil filter. So you can see the line here. It's got a min and a max. So anywhere in between that window of the max and the min, you're good. Of course, I like to have mine on the higher end of that, but as long as you're in that window, you're golden. And mine's still showing that it's way full. But again, that's because there's nothing in the filter and nothing in that cavity. So I'm going to leave it there for now and go ahead, start working on the gearbox, transmission, get it drained, and I'll show you guys how to do that. Right here is the fill plug. Underneath there is a 13 millimeter drain plug right underneath the transmission, located in one of those other kind of, you know, semi-circle, oval looking holes. It's a 13 millimeter again, and that will allow you to drain the gearbox. So we're going to start working on that now. All right, we got the gearbox fill plug out. It is a plastic plug. It's got the little plastic O-ring. It is a 15 millimeter. Easiest way to get it off, because it is located behind your brake lever, your foot lever, is to get in here with a just a regular wrench, you know, open or closed. I just got in there with the closed end. After a couple turns, it gets loose enough to the point where you can just get it out with your hand, unscrew it with your fingers. But again, that's what you're looking at right here. That is your transmission slash gearbox, and it calls for a different type of oil, which we'll see here in just a minute. All right, so got the gearbox plug out, 13 millimeter. It also has a crush washer, which this one, just like I said on the engine, it got stuck. It was up underneath. So when I first took this drain plug off, I didn't see the crush washer, and then I reached my hand up in there, and you know, it just suctioned to the bottom of the engine gearbox, so it came out. This one is a magnetic, so any little small particles of metal, it will pick up. Again, this one don't have a ton in it. Of course, I just dropped it, and I'm blind, so I can't see very well. But as you can see, just a little bit of sludge, very small. I wouldn't even call it any particles or nothing, but I'm gonna go ahead and get these cleaned off, get it cleaned up. 13 millimeter. I'll put it back under there, tighten it down, and then we'll be ready to put the gear oil in, and I'll show you guys that next. All right, so we got the gearbox drain plug put back in, 13 millimeter. Got it underneath there, snugged up. All that's left with the gearbox is to refill the gearbox, which you do right there where the we took that plastic 15 millimeter fill plug out. All right, so what it calls for right here in the owner's manual, operator's guide, is it calls for 0.53 quarts liquid US. So we're looking at, and that's of 75W40, or 140, sorry, which is right here. Full synthetic, 75W140, has the API GL requirement. So we're going to use our little handy dandy pump thing here. Once I get all this set up, we'll get it filled up to specs. All right, another step down. We got the gearbox topped off, half a quart. Actually, it's a little more than half a quart. It's like 0.5 something. So I put about, I don't know, I put about 16 and a half, almost 17 ounces in it. 32 ounces equals a quart. So half of that. The little pump thing here worked pretty good. I didn't have enough hands to demonstrate it, but it worked pretty good. There's 2 hoses on it. You put one hose in the product that you're pulling from. The other hose obviously goes into where you want the oil to go. In this case, it was the gearbox. And you just start pumping it. It pulls oil out of the container, and then it goes through the other tube into the gearbox. So it worked pretty good. We'll see how it goes with the differentials, the front and the rear diff, which is coming up next. I'm gonna start with the front. If I remember correctly, it's a little bit easier to get to. I don't think you have to remove a wheel to get to it. You probably don't have to remove a wheel to get to the back one either. I do, just because it's easier. I mean, I've got an impact wrench. It only takes a few seconds, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds to take off the rear wheel. I got a jack. I just jack it up, take that right rear wheel off right here, and it gives you better access to get to that rear diff, because that bolt can be a pain to get out sometimes. Last couple times I've taken it out, I actually had to use some leverage to get it off, and I never put it back on really tight. So I don't know if it's the heat or the pressure or whatever inside that rear diff that gets that thing extra tight once you put it on there, but it does. I don't remember the front. I've only changed it once. Backstory on the rear, I had to change it multiple times because the first time I changed it, and I think I got a video on this, I noticed that the vent line was not connected from the factory. Brand new unit. Rode it a few times. Got to the point where I was like, okay, 40, 50 hours, I'm going to go ahead and do the break-in, put new fluids in it, the diff, engine, gearbox, all of it, just like I'm doing now. And as I started working on the rear, did the drain plug, and a black, nasty, stinky glob of what used to be diff fluid just slowly came oozing and globbing out of the rear diff. So yeah, it got contaminated because the vent line was never attached from the factory. So I found the vent line, which was sitting up above the diff, put it back on, actually use a zip tie to kind of cinch it down a little tighter, and I haven't had any issues with it coming off since. But because it was compromised, I've changed that rear diff a couple different times to make sure that everything is good to go inside there, and it may not be. I don't know. It's been running okay, with the exception of the last ride that I did. When I got to the park, getting ready to unload the unit off of the trailer, I noticed that there was oil underneath where the rear diff was. After looking and investigating the cause and the location, I now have a front seal leak on my rear diff, which I guess from what I've read and heard and watched YouTube videos on and went to forums and things like that is kind of a common issue, not only with this Gen 3, but really all Can-Am XMRs, I guess, with that same rear diff. So it needs to go to the shop. It's still under warranty. I need to get that rear diff, the front seal, so it's where the actual drive shaft connects into the front of the rear diff. That's where the oil is leaking, the rear diff fluid. And I know people are going to ask, well, why rod it? And, well, the seal's already gone, and it's 4th of July weekend. So I paid a lot of money for this four-wheeler, and I'm going to enjoy it. And when the 4th is over, if it makes it that long, I'll take it to the dealer and they'll fix what's broken with it, because the seal is faulty. It's been proven by many people, and what I'll probably do is I'll probably wind up calling the dealership just so they know that, hey, I'm not going to bring it in. I'm going to ride it. And if it causes any other issues, then it causes other issues. But regardless, at a minimum, the rear seal has to be replaced. I don't know what kind of damage was done internally from where the vent line wasn't hooked up, which again is Can-Am's fault because it came like that. That's just part of quality control or lack thereof on their part. And yeah, so we'll see what happens there. But I do have a rear diff issue. It's leaking from that front seal. Again, I'm going to change it. I'm going to put rear diff fluid in it, and we're going to ride it this weekend. And if it makes it, it makes it. If it doesn't, then so be it. Can-Am will fix it. And if they don't want to fix it, then we'll have to take the next course of action. But I think they'll fix it. It's going to be a little while before I get it back, probably, because they don't do anything fast, which is why I'm not taking it in right now, because I want to ride it. And so far, I'm not hearing any kind of weird noises with it. So as long as it's still doing fine, if it's leaking a little bit of diff fluid, I'll just keep an eye on it this weekend. I'll take some extra diff fluid out there with me, keep it topped off if need be, and we'll go from there. So stay tuned. I'm going to go ahead, pause, and we're going to start working on this front diff, get it changed, get the rear diff changed, and we'll show you guys how we do that. All right, so the front diff, I went ahead and took the front tire off. It was just a pain in the butt to get back behind it. I could have got back there, kept fighting with it, but I mean, like I said, it takes less than a minute to get the wheel off. So I went ahead and took the tire and wheel off, and there's your feel hole. So it's not the one on the top, it's the one on the bottom. Your feel hole, which is a 5/16. And then underneath is your drain plug. And go figure, it doesn't match up. It is a 5mm. So in the process of letting the front diff drain now, I'll go ahead, put the wheel and tire back on. That way I can get it level. Of course, put the drain plug back in, and then we'll come back and we'll fill the front diff up. Once I get the wheel back on and make sure it's level, we'll get it topped off to specs. All right, so got the drain plug back in on the front diff. Not too bad. Let it all drain out. Cleaned it up. Put the drain plug back in. Went ahead, put the front tire back on. Now all that's left is to use my little handy dandy pump. Get the recommended amount of fluid in it. And put the fill plug back in, and then we can move on to the rear diff. So the front diff calls for 11.8 fluid ounces. You can see right there, 11.8 fluid ounces. Calls for 75 W90, which is what I've got here. All right, so we're gonna put 11.8 ounces in the front, and then the rear, go ahead and show you that. Rear calls for 10.14 ounces in the rear diff, okay? All right, got everything buttoned back up on the front. Got the oil, diff fluid topped off. Again, use my handy dandy little pump there. Pretty good little tool, makes it easier. Now we go to the rear diff. So the front diff is located on the left front. Why would Can-Am do it any other way, or any other manufacturer for that matter, and not make the rear diff on the opposite side? So here we go, rear diff, and then we're done. We'll take it out, a little test ride, let it warm up, check the fluids, oil, make sure everything's good to go, and we'll be ready for wild country, baby. Okay, so on to the back. Same procedure as the front. Jacked it up in the rear. You could probably get to it, man. It's tough to get back in there. I'm too old to be bending and doing all that stuff. But as you can see, probably hard to see, but look at that oozing out of there. So I just took, that's the fill plug now. That's not the drain plug, that's the fill plug. So I took the fill plug out, and that's what's coming out. So again, that lets me know that that front seal is allowing water and stuff to get in there. I hadn't even gotten under there and took out the drain plug yet. I'm getting ready to do that next. Okay, just got done putting the drain plug back into the rear diff, and just as I expected, it's probably going to be hard. I don't even know if you're going to be able to see it on this video, but there's water. You can see a spot right there. That's water. So there's definitely water getting into the rear diff, and like I said, I know from the first time it was because of the vent line not being installed properly from the factory, or not being installed at all. So the vent line was completely open. So water got in from that way and contaminated it. Of course, I changed it a couple times since then on my own. And then the last ride, I noticed that there was diff fluid coming from the seal on the front of the rear diff where it meets up with the shaft. So now that's where water is getting in. So I've got diff fluid obviously leaking out of that seal, and then water, you know, going in, I guess taking its place, because there's clearly water in the drain pan that I drained that rear diff out into. You can see it when I shake it around, and I can even see right now there's a few little bubbles here and there where water is showing up. Obviously oil and water don't mix, so they're going to separate naturally from each other, and you can see that in this pan. So yeah, it's definitely going to have to go to the shop. At least, hopefully, they won't have to put a whole new rear end in it, which I doubt they will anyway. They'll do the warranty work on it, change the seal, and that'll be it until something else breaks, and then I have to take it back in there. That's just how these dealerships operate, and it's not knocking on the dealership I got this from. I haven't even mentioned their names. Don't plan to. But again, you know, they're in the business to make money, and they'll fix the rear seal, I'm sure, get paid from the warranty, and then hopefully, you know, no catastrophic damage was done to the gears and internal. I didn't see any metal. I didn't see any kind of metal shavings, which I guess that's a good thing. Even on the drain plug, it's magnetic, and it was typical, you know, just a little bit of build up, you know, fine microscopic metal shavings, which you're going to have. It don't matter what. I mean, I've owned several Harley Davidsons. Every time you change the oil, you're going to have a little bit of those microscopic metal shavings that build up on that magnetic drain plug, that's what it's meant to do. Attract those things. That way they don't continue, you know, sloshing around and grinding up and chewing up the rest of your gears, and, you know, next thing you know, you got big chunks of metal. So we're pretty much done, guys. I'm gonna wrap it up here. All I have left to do now, which is pretty simple, I've already installed the rear tire, put it back on. I've yet to put the fluid in, so I'm gonna go ahead, use my little handy dandy pump, get back behind there, put fluid in it. I think it calls for like 11 ounces, if I'm not mistaken, in the rear. Actually 11.8 for the front, and then the rear, it calls for 10.41. So right at 10 ounces. I think I've got about 11 ounces left in this bottle. Actually, I've got a little bit more than that. I've got about 16 ounces. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little over, not a lot, because I know it's leaking. So whatever I put in there, it's going to leak out of that front seal anyway. So it's not going to hurt it to put a little bit more in there. And no, I didn't put more in it the first time I did it. So that's not what made the seal go bad. And again, from everything I've seen, it's a common part on these XMRs, both the Outlanders and Renegades, of having rear diff issues, primarily that front seal going out. So I'll get it filled up, topped off with rear diff fluid. Same fluid as went into the front. It's the 75 W4090. I'll get it put in, put the fill plug back on, and that'll be it. I'll take it for a little spin, come back, check the engine oil, and everything should be good to go. Hopefully it'll get me through this weekend.